up? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. What is going on? So, scratch my eyes, I'm a little itchy here. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Marcella Wilson. And for those of you who don't know me, I am on here every Monday morning, and what I do is I talk about short-term rental properties. So I help other people set up short-term rental properties. I own several short-term rental properties. I've had them for a couple of years. My husband and I have had them for a couple of years, and we were so successful. Like a couple of our friends were like, can you help us set up an Airbnb? I helped them set it up, and then it kind of like mushroomed into a thing. So if you're watching from my private Facebook group, I'm so happy to have you. If you're not, if you're watching me on Instagram or YouTube or LinkedIn, I would love it if you join my private Facebook group. It's called STR Academy. I'll leave the link in the comments or in the bio. And I'm on here every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just dropping knowledge about short-term rental properties, because I believe that you can create the life of your dreams one Airbnb at a time. I'm doing that with my life, and I help other people do that as well. All right. So if you're excited about learning about taxes for your short-term rental properties, drop a money gift in the comments, because I get questions all the time. I get questions all the time about short-term rental properties anyway, right? But I would say at least half are about taxes, right? Everyone, has questions about taxes because, you have to pay taxes, and taxes are always changing, and the laws are always changing. So it's really important, and you have to pay it. If you don't, you get penalized. So I get so many questions about taxes that I actually decided to talk about it during this live stream, because it's a really important topic, right? So give me, I'm only on Mondays, I'm only on for about 20, 25 minutes talking. So give me about 20, 25 minutes. I'm going to drop 3 points that you need to know about your taxes, right? And then at the end, I will tell you, if you stay on to the end, I will tell you a super, super, super simple way to handle taxes for your business, okay? All right, so let's get going, because your time is important and I appreciate you being here. So let's talk about it. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about concerning taxes is, well, let me just paint the picture first. If you own a short-term rental property, you have to pay taxes. So I'm all about being legit, doing things above board, right? So I'm not one to try to skirt what I have to do, right? We have to pay taxes, period. And I want to stress to you that you want to run a legitimate business, and it is important to pay your taxes. So that is something that I stress with, the clients that work with me, my stars that I call them, STR. Hey, John, how are you? Thanks for joining. Good morning. So you have to pay your taxes. You have to be on the up and up, because I believe, in operating a short-term rental property as a business, but as a legitimate business on the up and up, right? So I'm just going to say that right off the bat. So nothing I tell you is going to be trying to, tell you how to evade taxes or get around this. No, Taxes are a part of life. You're running a legitimate business, you got to pay. And that is, that is standard for me. I teach people to be on the up and up and run it as a business. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to taxes is that know what kind of short-term rental property that you have and know how many bookings you get, right, on average for a year. Because, there are different types of short-term rental properties have different types of occupancies, right? So the short-term rentals that I have are rented out year-round, right? There's never a month where it's like, we're not renting it out this month. It's a year-round rentals. However, there are some short-term rentals that people have that, it's only seasonal, right? They only rent out in the summer, like around Lake Tahoe, or they're seasonal rentals during the summer months or the winter months, if it's near a ski resort. So some short-term rentals people might have are seasonal. So know your type of short-term rental. And this is important because there's a rule called the 14-day rule. So the 14-day rule is important. Let me just read the rules for that. It's a rule that for short-term rental hosts who only rent their property no more than 14 days a year. So if you don't rent your property any more than 14 days a year, which is 2 weeks, you don't have to pay any taxes on it. And that's important, right? Because some people, if they are just getting their short-term rental off the ground, or it's a seasonal rental, or this tax rule actually came into effect because of the Masters in Augusta, Georgia, where people were renting out their homes the couple of weeks where the Masters was being held in Augusta, and then they didn't rent their home out anymore. So the 14-day rule does apply to some people. So if it applies to you, know that you don't have to pay taxes if you don't rent your property out any more than 14 days a year. But you, as the rental host, must use that property at least 14 days or more a year as well. So they're saying, you have to occupy that property for at least 2 weeks or live there, right? So it's called the 14-day rule. If that applies to you, you don't have to pull your hair out worrying about, I gotta pay taxes, or I gotta, for this limited amount of time, I've got to go through all of this to pay taxes. You don't, because there is the 14-day rule. And I know some people who follow this, right? They don't rent their property out a lot, and they adhere to this rule, and they don't pay taxes. So if you are in that category, you don't have to pay taxes. Now, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people that I deal with do not fall into this category. A lot of people who I deal with are trying to do this as a side hustle, or trying to make this their full-time thing, or they're trying to set up several different properties. So most people who I work with and who are watching now, this isn't going to apply to, but there are people that this applies to. So if this applies to you, there you go. Or if you didn't know it, there you go. All right. So I would love to know, though, if you're watching this and the 14-day applies to you, or if you have a seasonal rental, drop a comment or a GIF in the comments. It says me, or drop 14, just say 14 in the comments. I would love to know who actually this applies to, or the people that have seasonal rentals. All right, so that's the first thing I wanted to cover, was the 14-day rule. Okay, so the second point I wanted to talk to you about taxes is don't go at it alone. Don't go at it alone, right? It can be overwhelming. It can be confusing. It can be frustrating, right? So my advice to you, as someone who's been in the short-term rental game, the STAR game, and for those of you who have just joined me, I say STAR because short-term rental, the first letter is STR, so I just put an A in it, STAR. So I call the people who join me stars, and I call it the STAR game because short-term rentals. Okay, you get it. So if you're in the STAR, I've been in the STAR game for a minute, several years. I have several properties, and taxes are a thing, and my husband and I just decided that, it is important not to go at it alone, right? Because he nor I are tax professionals. And if you're on VRBO or Airbnb, they do some of the work for you because you'll see the breakouts of, taxes based on where your short-term rental is located. So they help you a little bit, but, they don't do it all, right? So I recommend you don't go at it alone. So what does that mean, right? So, because honestly, you could research all you want to about the taxes in your area. And that's the thing that is so not frustrating, but people come to me and say, I need help with taxes. It's just like, well, taxes concerning short-term rentals are different in different states, in different countries. So it's really impossible for someone to know, all of the tax laws and regulations in all the states and in all the countries. So I don't know them all, right? And I don't want to know them all. I don't need to know them all, right? And I don't want you to feel like you need to know, all the tax laws in wherever your short-term rental is located, right? You don't need to know it. Don't do it alone. Don't go at it alone. So what I recommend is that you do one of two things, right? The first thing I recommend is that you hire a professional, right? So hey, we got Jean and BJ just joined us. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So don't go at it alone. So you can hire a tax professional, right? Get somebody who this is what they do. You can call around, you can ask me, you can get recommendations of someone who is well versed in real estate laws or short-term rental property laws, or someone who handles taxes for rentals or real estate. And yeah, you do have to pay for it. But in my mind, that's money well spent because it's one less thing that you've got to do, one less headache that you've got to worry about. And I'm all about delegating. I'm all about delegating because we're all adults, we're all busy, we all got a lot of things to do, right? We may have jobs, kids, side hustles, then you got to have me time. So, as things come into our lives, we've got to learn how to manage and delegate. So my advice to you as someone who's been doing this for several years and has been very successful doing it for several years is to hire a tax professional, right? Especially if you're like me and you have more than one property. So if you have more than one property, that's like double the work, right? So hire a tax professional. So that's the first way you can not go at it alone, is hire a tax professional, right? Just do it. People, and tax season is coming up in April. It's not far away. People pay to get their income taxes done. People pay for that service. Why not pay for this service for your business as well? It's money well spent. The second way you cannot go it alone is what I do, right? I don't actually hire a tax professional. Sorry, there's like some noise out my window. what I actually do is my properties, I have them run by property management, right? Because some of my properties are not in the state that I reside in, right? So just because you have short-term rental doesn't mean you live near your short-term rental, right? Some of my short-term rental properties are not in the state that I live in. So I have property management company manage those short-term rentals, right? So part of what that property management company offers me, one of their services is that they can do your taxes for you for the properties that they manage, right? So they get the tax professional, they hire the tax professional, and they make sure that, you know, if you sign up for that service from them, all the properties that they manage and have signed up for their service, they do the taxes and make sure they're done and submitted on time, right? Now, of course, I pay for property management services for those properties, and this tax service is additional. It is an additional fee. But guess what? Money well spent. So that is what we personally do for our short-term rental properties, is that we let the property management company do the taxes, right? Some people don't know. So let me just say this. Some people's property management service, if you go down that route, because not everybody uses a property management company, if you go down that route, people don't know that that is something that could be offered, right? And not all property management companies offer that. So if you're thinking of using property management to manage your rental, one of the things that I would ask them, if they don't tell you up front, is do you offer tax service, right? So mine does. That was one of the reasons that we chose them. So my company offers tax services. It is an extra fee. It's not included in the normal, you know, property management service fees. But to us, it is money well spent, because I ain't got to worry about that. You know, it's one less headache because, you know, I don't know anything about taxes. I don't want to know anything about taxes. So it's great to just pass that off, right? So if you are all about, and my thing is like, two minds are better than one, right? So don't do it alone, right? So if you, so I would also like to know how many people in there, if you have a short-term rental, if you actually use a property management service, just type yes in the comment section, because I would actually love to know who is using property management services. Okay, so that was my second point. So my first point is, the first point I talked about today was the 14-day rule. The second point I talked about today was, do not go at it alone with your taxes. Either hire a tax professional or, you know, get that service through your property management company. Okay. So the third thing that I want to make, I got my notes here, so I'm making sure that I don't miss anything. So the third point I wanted to share with you today about taxes is that ultimately it's your responsibility, right? So whatever you do, you're responsible. So even if you hire someone else, you can't just, you know, like set it and forget it, right? And listen, I know several people that have that set it and forget it mentality when it comes to short-term rentals, right? Because they kind of run themselves, right, once they get going. And especially if you have a property manager that's running the property, you're really like hands off, right? Because the bookings come in, You let the property manager know, and then they're off to the races. They do everything, and you're kind of like, hands off as much as you want to be. But I really don't recommend that. But that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother story. But concerning your taxes, even if you do hire someone, I don't want you to be like hands off, right? Like, oh, they pay for it. I paid for the service. They're going to handle it, whatever. I still want you to be present and aware of what's going on with your taxes. So what is important for you to do is that you need to keep flawless records, right? And that's not hard to do, because if you're on Airbnb or VRBO, you can do reports of how many bookings you have each month or the year, and the income that you've generated, and and they do some of the taxes. They let you know the breakout from the rates, what part will go to taxes. Not all the taxes, but some taxes. So, VRBO or Airbnb, they can kind of help you with that. But it's up to you to keep flawless records, right? Because you're running a business, you can always be audited. You can always be asked to produce or verify your bookings, right? So you've got to keep flawless records. So one thing that my husband and I do with our properties is that, we keep records. Like at the end of every month, we update our records for our properties, and that's very important. You also want to document all business expenses. You have to keep track of that, because that's a part of taxes as well, right? Because, you can deduct business expenses from your taxes and things like that. So and that's good to know. So you want to keep track of that, right? So if you, buy towels for your short-term rental, you want to document that, because that's a business expense. If you hire a tax professional, you want to document those charges, because it's a business expense. If you pay the listing fee for Airbnb, a yearly listing fee, that's a business expense, so you want to document that. So you want to have a spreadsheet somewhere that you update once a month to keep track of all business expenses. So I cannot talk this morning. To keep track of all your business expenses, and the overarching goal is to keep all of your records. Because as I said from the very beginning, we're running a business. Everything should be above board. I'm all about that. I'm not trying to be shady with my business. And we're not trying to be shady. We want to be above board. We want to keep flawless records. We want to, pay our taxes. We want to document everything, because let's look at the big picture of why we're doing this, right? I don't know about you, but I am doing this. Ooh, the sun is just like bright, right? Hold on, I'm just gonna my office is so crazy. Sometimes it's light, sometimes it's dark. We're doing this, right, for a purpose. I have investment properties. I have short-term rentals so that, for my retirement. This is my retirement. This is my future, right? A lot of you who have short-term rental properties have told me you're doing this because you want to use that income to pay your mortgage, right? You want to use the booking money you get to pay your mortgage or your rent every month. Some people told me they use the money to put their kids in private school. Some people say they use their money to buy a house in a better neighborhood. Some people have told me they're doing this because, they want to be a stay-at-home mom. They want to come home and stay home with their kids. And some people are doing this because they want to get out the rat race completely, right? Some people want to build a short-term real estate empire, star empire. So whatever your reason for this, to having a better life, right? Because that's really what we're doing, right? We're doing this so we can have financial freedom, so we can have a better life, so we can live the type of life that we want to live with our family. That's really why we're doing this. That's the big picture. So you don't want to do anything to jeopardize that, right? So you want to be above board with everything, and you don't want to not pay your taxes or try to get around it or be shady about it and jeopardize your future, jeopardize leaving these valuable assets to your children. You don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. So if you are about financial freedom, just drop some money gifts or gifs, I don't know what the right way to say it is, in the comments. Because I'm all about that as well. All right, so I told you I had 3 points. My 3 points were the 14-day rule, know the 14-day rule. My second point was do not go at it alone. Hire someone, whether it be a tax professional or your property management that offers that service. Number 3 is, even though you hire someone or not, keep flawless documents and records, right? Keep all of your receipts and records, because ultimately you are responsible. So that's what I have to say about taxes. I don't know everything about taxes. No one does, because they're different in each location, each state, each country. They're different and they're always changing. So you've got to get someone that their job is to be on top of it, right? Because you already have so many things to do. Unless you're trying to go back to school to be a tax professional, I would say don't even put that responsibility on your plate. All right, so this is something that I work with my clients. I work with clients in a group setting, right? We meet weekly for a couple of months, and I help them set up their short-term rental property. So I'm about to put together a class, and we're going to start, right? And we're doing it, I'm starting it now because if you join my group coaching, it's 90 days. By the end of the 90 days, you will be set up for the summer season. So if you know anything about short-term rentals, the summer season is what we call high season, which means it's where you can make a lot of money. You can charge high rents. So the people that I'm going to be working with, I'm going to be teaching them everything I know, like about taxes. And there's even more that I can share with you about taxes, but I'm only on here for 30, 45 minutes a day. So we delve into things deeper during my group coaching. Talk about like pricing, how to get 5-star reviews. Like if you look at my properties, they have 5-star reviews after 5-star review after 5-star review. I give my formula for how to get 5-star reviews and the whole 9. So if you want to be a part of this and take your listing to the highest and get you that much closer to financial freedom, I'm going to put a link in the bio. If you're on YouTube, it's going to be in the comments. Instagram is going to be in my bio. Facebook is going to be in the comments. There's going to be a link in the comments where you can set up a call with me. It's free, and we can just talk about it, and I can see if you're a good fit for this program. All right, guys. So I'm only on here about a half hour every Monday. If you've got any questions about taxes or anything I talked about today, or anything that you want me to talk about, just leave it in the comments. Ask me in the comments, and I'll be sure to get back to you. All right. So it is, as usual, it's been great talking to you. If you haven't already, let me say it again, please join my private Facebook group. I'm on here every Monday dropping knowledge and giving my members, my stars, just everything they need to know to get bookings and 5-star reviews and make coins, make more coins, make star coins. All right, so I'm going to end this, and I will be on next week, but check my posts throughout the week because I still will have lots of information, juicy content for you that you need to know. It's great talking to you. Have a great week. I'll see you soon. Bye.